Hello everyone and welcome back to Webnestify channel. Before we get into today's topic, I wanted to share a bit of background. After a frustrating, so I started search for an open source self-hosted alternative, and that's when I discovered Pangolin. In this video, we are going to explore Pangolin, a powerful self-hosted tunneled level proxy server with built-in identity and access control. Think of it as your own zero trust tunnel like Cloudflare Tunnels, but open source, self-hosted, and under your complete control. So whether you are trying to access private services across the network, securely expose IoT devices, or eliminate the need to open ports behind the firewalls, Pangolin does it all using encrypted WireGuard tunnels and a modern, intuitive dashboard. But before we proceed with the installation, I wanted to show you their website. It's really simple, it's just one pager, but when you visit fossorial.io, you can read more about the Pangolin, and basically you have two versions available. You have open source, which is built for individuals and home labs, and then you can also get an enterprise, which includes all the features. There is no feature lockdown behind paywall, which is nice to see. But for enterprise, you get a dedicated support, meetings and calls, tailored agreements, custom branding, white labeling, and even you can set it up as multi-region, high availability deployment. So if you are running business where you have hundreds or thousands of users and you want to migrate from Cloudflare or anything else, get in touch with the Fossorial team and they will sure get you some nice deal where you can also save money. But if you also want to support the open source version, you can check the support to program. And as you can see, they will never use this to paywall features. So the support to program is for home laborers and maybe small businesses who want to give a little bit of back, and basically you can purchase $25 one time or $95 one time tier on a GitHub. And that means that if you have 5 or less users, $25 one time payment is just fine. But for full supporter for $95, you will get unlimited users. And yeah. That's basically it. And how you can upgrade, I'm going to show you when we install our Pangolin instance, and I will walk you through some basic stuff, and yeah, I will show you in the UI. So that's pretty it. Now let's check the getting started. And as you can see, we will basically need two VPSs. One will be for Pangolin, and second one will be the server where we have our services and we install tunnels. You can even install the Pangolin on the tunnels on the same server, that's fine. But I wanted to show you the right way. In most cases, how everyone will be doing this. And as you can see, the requirements is not pretty big, that you need to use one CPU, 1 GB RAM, 8 GB SSD, will perform perfectly for most use cases. So that's it, and let's check the GitHub for you. And when we go to the Pangolin, you can also read more. You can start the repo, and everything is open source, which is really amazing. When we check the release cadence, as you can see, we are on 1.5.1, and yeah, it's being developed every 2-3 weeks. You will get a new update, most likely. There is not too many issues, as you can see. Almost 400 are closed, 67 open, which is great. There are taking care of some bugs or when some users have issues. So I think the Pangolin will stay here with us for a long time. And I think the team behind the Pangolin built a really good business model out of a open source software. And yeah, some projects could take an example from this project, how you can monetize and offer business solutions with fully open source software. That's enough about the Pangolin, and now let's install our servers. Alright, so with the intro out of the way, now we can focus on creating our servers for our Pangolin. So this section is really important, so you need to follow step by step how I'm going to show you. So the provider of my choice is Hetzner. I'm using it for many years and I could not be more happier. The price, the performance, the features are just out of this world. But if you are using Vultr, Linode or other any provider, I think the setup should be the same. If you want to use Hetzner, like me, you can check the link in the description that will grant you 20 euros or $20 to get started with Hetzner. Alright, so first thing, before we create our servers, we need to create our firewalls. And first firewall will be for the Pangolin server. First rule will be SSH for port 22. If you have your own IP address or something to protect it, feel free to put it there. Then we need to open to any, and it will be HTTP, protocol TCP, and port HTTP 80. Another firewall rule will be HTTPS. Again, you want to enable to any IPv4 for the Let's Encrypt, protocol TCP, and port will be 443. And later, when we deploy our two servers, we will add additional two rules. Then you can name this firewall, which will be Pangolin server. Click create firewall. And now we will add our firewall for our application server. In this, we just need only the SSH firewall. And we will name it Pangolin app. Perfect. So now we created two firewall rules for the Pangolin server and Pangolin application server. Then we want to create our private network subnet, so our servers will communicate through the private networking, eliminating the public network, latency, and all kind of issues. So you want to create your network. We can name it Pangolin. We can use 24 subnet, and this is our IP range. Let's click create network. And that's pretty it. And now we are ready to deploy our servers. Alright, so let me create our two servers. We're gonna choose Falkenstein. We can choose Debian 12, which is more stable than Ubuntu for this use case. And we can go with the CPX 21, which is 3 cores, 4 gigs of memory, 80 GB of disk storage, and 20 TB of traffic, which is plenty. We can disable IPv6, we can enable attach those servers to our private network. If you have SSH key, you can edit. I'm using the cloud init file. And then we want to attach those servers to our firewall. You can enable backup. And then we will create our placement group. And placement group is that by default, if you deploy your servers, they will live on one single, basically bare metal machine. With the placement group, those will be split to different servers. And we can create our placement Pangolin tutorial. Let's create. And if you got my version of Cloud Init, feel free to paste Cloud Init there. So let me paste my Cloud Init configuration and name our servers Pangolin server. And second will be Pangolin app server. Let's create and buy now. And now let's copy those two IP addresses of those servers. and add those, as I mentioned before, to our firewall with two rules. This will be TCP, this one will be UDP, and port any, protocol UDP, port any. This firewall rules means that those two servers can communicate between themselves on any other port. And it is really handy, for example, if you don't have access to your private network or if your provider does not support the private network. And we can click Save Changes. And then we also add this to Pangolin app server. Again, those two servers' IP addresses will be TCP and UDP, port any, protocol UDP, port any, click Save. And now when we have those two servers, let me refresh it. We need to open the app server, go to firewall, we will remove the server firewall rule, and we will apply our application firewall rule that we created just for this app server. Perfect, everything looks fine, and now you can add those servers to your config file, terminus, etc. So let's just connect it and set up some things. So let's SSH into our server. I'm using the WARP client on my Mac Studio. You can use any other terminal or terminus. The choice is completely yours. So let's just SSH first into the Pangolin server. You wanna accept the fingerprint. If you have your SSH config behind 1Password or Bitwarden, make sure to add your password. Let me copy my vault encryption key quickly. Where is it? Okay. We want to authorize this connection to our password manager. This is another security step that you can add. And if you use my Cloudinit file, first you need to change the current password you specify in the Cloudinit, and then you will add your own sudo password. Okay. That out of the way, we can connect it again, and we will elevate ourselves to the sudo. All right. And then we can connect to our application server. So it's gonna be SSH Pango app, and the same process with the Cloudinit file. Did I put my password again? Okay. Okay, Pango app and sudo-y. Perfect. And now we are ready to proceed with the installation, but before we need to set up some DNS. So first copy the Pangolin server IP address. Go to your DNS provider of your choice or where your domain lives. I recommend using standalone domain just for this deployment, for your deployment on the Pangolin. So for example, if you have some other domains in use, it's not very recommended. Purchase some cheap domain and use it for your internal applications. So first record what we add will be root. So it will be just add pointing to server IP address. Then we will add our dashboard, for example, a proxy. Disable the Cloudflare proxy. And then we will add the wildcard DNS record for all our applications that we want to protect with Pangolin. So it will be star as anything.webnestify.org, and we can click save. Okay, DNS we have ready, and now we can proceed with the installation. And it is really simple. You can just copy this command. Let me go back to the WARP. I'm going to close this, I think. And yeah, you just paste this command. It will download the installer on the server. As you can see, we have the installer file here. Let me clear it, and you just want to execute it. And now it will ask you for some configuration. So enter your base domain. That will be webnestify.org. Enter the domain for the Pangolin dashboard. We set it up as proxy.webnestify.org. Email for Let's Encrypt will be admin@webnestify.org. Do you want to use Gerbil to allow tunneled connections? Yes. Enter admin user email. It will be admin@webnestify.org. Enter your password. Then you want to disable sign up without invite, which is good. If you want anyone to create user accounts, just say no. In my case, it will be yes. Disable users from creating organizations. This is completely up to you. If you want your users to create organizations, then you can say no, but in my case, I say yes. Here comes the SMTP configuration. Make sure you have your SMTP credentials ready from Postmark. So you want to type yes. So it will be smtp.email.example. Port 587 start TLS is correct. Enter your username, your password, and your sending email address. And now it will prompt you to install a Docker. You want to say yes. And now it will ask you to start the installation. So we want to type yes, and it will pull all the necessary Docker containers for our Pangolin dashboard. And lastly, it will ask you if you want to install CrowdSec. In this case, I say no, because I don't want to go and configure CrowdSec with Pangolin. This is completely optional. And if you know how to do it, you can also install it yourself. You can add some API keys and then it will work. But for the sake of simplicity of this video, we will say no. Amazing. When we verify if our containers are running and healthy, they are. With luck, we should be able to visit our website, our Pangolin dashboard. So let's go to proxy.webnestify.org and bingo. We have Let's Encrypt certificate and we can log in. So it will be webnestify.org and our strong and secure password. And the first step, what we'll ask you to do is create your organization. In this case, it will be Pangolin is awesome. And now it will ask you to create site. Think of it as the create site is like your server, same like in the Cloudflare tunnel. When you want to install a tunnel, you will need to name the tunnel service. In this case, it is site. So it will be applications. You want to use new T tunnel and make sure to save those new T ID and new T secret key, because it will come handy later when we create our systemd service. But if you want to use basic WireGuard, that's fine. Or if you're running your applications on this Pangolin server, you can use local. So we will keep the new T. And as you can see, it supports all the systems you can imagine. Linux, Docker, Podman, macOS, Windows, FreeBSD, and all available architectures on the market. Perfect. With out of the way, check I have copied those configuration files and make sure to copy this command. But first, what I like to do is to set up some application on our application server. As for example, we will install our Sterling PDF manipulation tool on our application server and just follow the guide on docs.webnestify.com. First, we will install our Docker engine. Let me move back to our application server. We will install our Docker engine on the server. Docker is installed. Then you will need to add your own user to the Docker group. So user mode, ag docker Webnestify. Then you want to elevate yourself to your user. You want to create folder Docker. Then you want to navigate to Docker. And then you want to create folder for each application. And this showcase how you can create on a brand new fresh server. If you already have your server with Docker applications, you can skip this part and you can just install the new T tunnel and also set up the systemd, which I'll show you right after this application deployment. It's gonna be nano docker compose.yaml. You can copy this. There's no need to edit, just we can remove the version tag, Ctrl O enter to confirm, Ctrl X to exit, and now we can just run it. So it will be docker compose up -d, and it will start the Sterling PDF installation. Alright, our Sterling PDF have been installed. Let's just verify it by running docker ps. It's up and running. And now exit yourself to the root and proceed with the, where is it? With our tunnel installation. So make sure you copy those two keys, or just copy this command. You click create site and go back to your application server and run this command to install our tunnel. And as you can see, the latency is almost 3 milliseconds, which is fine. And we should have our status with online really soon. So let me refresh the page. Refresh it again. As you can see, we are online and we are ready to proxy our application through Pangolin. But here comes the tricky part. When we exit out of this terminal, the new T tunnel will be disconnected. And that's because we did not set up our systemd service. So let's just do it and set it up unattended. So when you reboot the servers, it will start the tunnel and applications will be online. As you can see, we have our new T service in our current working directory, but we want to move this. So we're gonna move new T to user local bin. This is standard path where all applications, most of them lives. That's perfect. We have now nothing, and now we want to create our new T service. So it will be nano new T.service, and then you want to copy the standard systemd service which we want to use. And here comes the part where you will need to add your IDs, or you can copy the parts from the installation file. So first we need to locate our service. As you know, we moved our service to the user local bin new T, and now you can Ctrl O enter to confirm and exit. And now scroll up and copy this part with the ID and secret. And we will edit our new T service again. We go there and we add our ID and secret key to point to our endpoint. And I think this should be it. Ctrl O enter, Ctrl X to exit, and now let's start our new T service. So system control, start new T. No, first we need to move our new T service to the systemd system settings. So move new T, it will be etc systemd system, and now we can start our service. So system control, start new T, And if you want to enable this tunnel on the server reboot, you just go system control, enable newt.service. Let's just verify our tunnel is up and running. System control, status newt, and it is up and running. That's great. And our tunnel is online again. Perfect. If you follow everything step by step, as shown now, you are now ready to start protecting your applications. And applications are in the resources. So first we will add our resource. We will name this like Sterling. If you have more servers, you can choose from which server you want to serve it. And you want to serve it as HTTP resource. And for the subdomain, we're gonna do pdf.webnestify.org. We will create our resource. And now comes the target configuration. Since our servers are connected through the localhost, what we can do, we can just get the IP of our Docker container, which will be docker inspect. Where is it? Okay, so it will be docker inspect Sterling PDF. Let me copy the name. And as you can see, we have our IP address of this container. We can copy this. We paste it here, and port is 8080 as shown in the Docker Compose file. We can click add our target, and you want to keep enable SSL. You're gonna save the targets, and yeah, we should be able to visit our Sterling PDF. So let me just open it in a new tab. And as you can see, you can enable disable analytics for any application. And this is really handy that you can access it while you are logged in. So let me just log out. And let's just refresh this. As you will see, you must log in to your Pangolin server in order to log into your application. So let's just do admin at Webnestify.org. And now you can visit your application that you protected with the Pangolin. Awesome. So let's go back. Awesome. And there are further things that you can also add. You can add multiple users to your Pangolin instance. So internal user will be to join your organization directly, or you can create a user with your external identity provider. But first you will need to configure your identity providers. If you have Authentic, Autelia, what is it called from Microsoft, Entra ID, is completely up to you. But for this, we can use the internal user, and you can select how many days the invite will be valid, and then you can select the roles. And you can specify the roles here. You can add your own role. For example, this will be testing. You create role, and then, yeah, you can add your roles. That's pretty straightforward. And yes, you add your users, add your liking, you add your role testing, and it will be simon@gmail.com. You will create user, failure to invite user, yes, because we don't specify the SMTP. And yeah, that's fine. Let me add our Simon. Okay, and then if you don't want to send him email, you can send him the invite link, which will expire in 3 days. Then for the resources, add your own applications that you are running on your server you want to protect. And then you can go view the settings, and you can go to the authentication, and here you can specify which role can only access to this application. So for example, you want to select members, or test team members, and you want to use the platform SSO. That means they will need to log in to your Pangolin server. And here you can also select the specify users instead of roles. And you can also add the authentication methods that will add the additional authentication. So you can password protection, enable the HTTP password protection, or you can PIN code protect. That's completely up to you. And even you can further increase the security of your applications by adding some rules. So you want to enable some rule, and you can always allow AP, path, IP range, etc. So for example, if you have your own public network, you can also whitelist is here. And I think that's it for the resources. So remember, the sites are the tunnel servers, and the resources are the applications that are running on those sites. Then you can also create a temporary or permanent access to your resources. So you can share a link, and you can give only access outside to the Sterling PDF, and you can set the expiration date, which is really handy if you want to share quickly with someone something. Then you can create API keys, so if you want to do some automations. And then you have some general settings, which is you can change name of your organization. And then also server admin. You can add your identity providers if you want. And here comes the license. So now we have our community edition. And as I showed you in the intro, you can buy the supporter key, which will be for the whole server, lifetime purchase, and you will get the supporter status. So it is completely up to you how you want to protect your, or how you want to support this amazing Pangolin project. All right, folks. So that's pretty it for this Pangolin, and give it a try. And that wraps our deep dive into Pangolin, a truly impressive self-hosted alternative to Cloudflare Access and Tunnels. So if you are building your own infrastructure, running a home lab, or managing distributed resources and want full control without giving it all away to third-party services, Pangolin should absolutely be on your radar. So as always, if you have any questions, want to share your setup, or just geek out over the self-hosted tech, join the Webnestify Discord. You will find the link in the video description. And if this video was helpful, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe so you don't miss future deep dives like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.